Hello, last time we made this zombie farm and geared ourselves up. But today we're running away from all of that because we've got a big job to do over in this direction. So here we are on the big island. Our little island is off over that way somewhere, and we are roughly in line with our train tunnel, which obviously doesn't have any trains going along it just yet, and that's because that's what we are here to sort out. First of all, we need to make a shaft that goes down to where we want to go, so I've started to rig up this drilling machine, and this time I put some deployers on top of it. As you can see, they're set to chuck in a load of cobblestone that will line the tunnel walls as it goes down. To make it go down, of course, we need to rig up a rope pulley, and I'm going to power it using this large water wheel here. So let me just sort that out, get it up to a decent speed. Okay, we're ready, and in fact we've dug a tiny bit of a test hole just to make absolutely sure we are ready. So let me click that lever up there, and then down it goes. Is it stuck? Well, I don't know what's happened there because these deployers are supposed to deploy stuff a block away. So none of them should be placing blocks within this square, they should be placing blocks in this kind of position. This is supposed to be the easy bit. I'll figure it out somehow. Okay, so this time I've moved all the deployers all the way to the outside. I don't think that's right, but it clearly wasn't working with them on the inside, so I guess we'll give it a go. Yeah, that's going to place the blocks too far out, but I don't really know why it wasn't placing the blocks along this bit here, which is where we wanted them. At least it seems to be working now. Well, we got there in the end, and actually we only came across one cave that I had to fill in. No lava, no water to worry about. Just like we did on our home island then, we can now get rid of the mining machine and replace it with an elevator. This might not look like much of a platform to you, but our railway should be about 15 blocks in this direction. I mean, I say railway, there's no railway there, it's just a tunnel at the moment, but hopefully it links up. Let's just dig through and see if we find it. Having made my way back home again, I now want to fill this chest behind me up with the things I'm going to need to build the farm that I'm going to build over there. And what I have here is a checklist of the things I'm going to need, and I'm gradually filling these up and checking these off. Oh, what I didn't show you just then was how I built that checklist in the first place. So actually you do that with the schematic cannon. So what you can do is you grab your clipboard, you pop it in here, and that will automatically populate your checklist. And if you've got your stuff in a chest next to the schematic cannon like I have there, then on the checklist it actually ticks off the things you've got. So if I take that lever out of the chest and we pop our clipboard back through and now have a look at it, you'll see we now need a lever. It's ticked everything else off but still saying we need a lever. And if I pop the lever back in the chest, pop the schematic cannon clipboardy thing back through and look at it, now it ticks it off. And just like that we have a building, and this is Batsy's cobble generator. I've added in a vault for storage, so let's switch it on and see what it does. Well, after running for not very long at all, it's already produced over 10 stacks of cobble, so I think this is going to do pretty well for us. And although it's not the worst looking thing in the world, I still want to build a building around it. So let's get on with that.
That's enough.
Oh, sorry Scotty, I thought you liked my montages. Anyway, behind me is the end result. I've mainly used the rounded cobblestone bricks for the walls, and then I varied a bit with some of the other cobblestone varieties. For the windows, it's mainly the spruce bark variety of trapdoors that you can see behind me, and we've got some of the stripped spruce varieties as well. And I've made the building high enough that we can put another cobble generator on top should we wish to double up. I'm not entirely convinced by the roof, but I'm very happy with the rest of the build. Before I do anything with the cobble generator though, I want to put a building around the lift mechanism that we've got behind me here. So let's do that, shall we? First of all, I've got rid of that assembly of cogs that we had here and replaced it all with a rotational speed controller. That's this thing here. And that means that we can get this thing running nice and quickly without all of those cogs. and also it's a lot quieter. For the lift itself, I've kept it very simple. I've just used stripped cherry logs and some cherry trapdoors, and I've left the floor as it was with just plain old cobblestone. And for the outside of the building, I'm just using the same block palette as we used for the building over there. So it will be an unstripped spruce frame with cobblestone variants on the walls. And actually I've realised I need to bring these out a little bit further. And with the spruce framework in its proper place and the walls and roof all done, it looks like this. Not a bad little building if I say so myself. I've used the massive cobble bricks for this building. I kind of like the idea of using the biggest bricks for the smallest building. And I don't think it needs a lot more in terms of texturing, so I'm going to leave it as is, because I think otherwise it can start looking a little bit too fussy. One interesting thing I've discovered though is, if I make my way into the lift and head on down to the platform, I take a bit of damage every time. Maybe it's Minecraft's way of punishing me for making this interior quite so garishly pink. But anyway, there's no point having a lift that goes down to the platform if there's no train to arrive at the platform. And my plan is to automate the production of that over here, but first I want to test the theory, and that means going back to our starter island to make some railway over there. So we're back here, and I've already been a little bit busy. Let me show you. I've turned most of the remaining stone into moss, and I've put sand all the way around the edge of the island just to give it a decent perimeter, make it look like a beach, and make it just look a little bit more natural. So it's looking a lot more complete now as an island instead of the mess that it was before. And the other bit of tidying up I want to do is to get rid of some of the temporary machines and farms that I've made, like this one here, that actually I don't need right now. Okay, so now that I've cleared up my mess, I can start making a new one. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a speed controller right here. And speed controllers always have to be connected to a large cog wheel, so there's one of those. So to make our railway track, we need to start with some slabs and then deploy a nugget a couple of times and then press it. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put a chest down for our slabs here. In fact, let's make it a double one. And then we've got a couple of belts to go in. So we've got one going from here all the way to here. And then one from there. Oh, I need to put the shaft in. That would help. And then we've got another chest at the end to collect the goodies. Let's put a couple of funnels on each of those. So now we're going to want our two deployers, one there and one there. Might be facing the wrong way, but let's not worry. And then we want our stampy thing on the end here. Oh, but that's right on top of the funnel, so I think we're going to need to move everything back another block. There we are, that's looking better. And then we need to feed the nuggets to the deployers. So a shaft on top of each of them, with a double chest on top of that. Should do the job. That's not a double chest. That's more like it. So in theory, if I tell the deployers to only use iron nuggets, and we chuck a load of them in here, and I chuck a load of slabs in this chest, oh, which I can't because I've placed a block on top. There we go. We should get rails coming out of the end. That doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, we haven't powered these at all, have we? That's not going to work. So a few shafts out of the back, and then we need to attach it to that cog over there and bring it all together with a belt. And that has overstressed the whole system, but that's okay because we can just slow it down using our speed controller. That seems to be working quite nicely. Well, that worked pretty nicely, and that's produced a little bit of rail for me, and I've now used up all of my iron. So we really need to scale this up, and that means going back to the big scale farm place. So I've spent a little while with my mining machine, and by the way, I've put Silk Touch on this pickaxe. So I've got a fair few ore blocks, and instead of fortuning them, I'm going to put those ore blocks through these crushing wheels behind me, because that also gives us multiple ores. So opening the chest up here, we can see we've got a load of stuff in here, and I've got a load of iron ore in my inventory too. So the next thing I want to do with this little machine is to extend it so that it will automatically smelt, or blast I should say, those ores into the nuggets that we need. So just to recap, we can put our items in here, and they will go up this belt and into the crushing wheels. From there they go along to here and into that chest.
And if I scoot underneath, they can then come out of this chest and along there, and we'll pop some lava in that gap there, and the fan will blast whatever items come out of there. So the blasted items go into the chest at the end there. What we need to do is make sure that only the blastable items come out of this, and to do that we're going to use a filter. And if you're wondering what the advantage of this is over putting this stuff through a furnace and smelting it in the ordinary way, it's quite simply that this won't use up any fuel. Now the thing is, this will come out in stacks because it's a brass funnel, and the only question is, will that be enough to blast it? Let's try it, shall we? See what happens. Yeah, it's not getting blasted, is it? Okay, so we've got a little bit of rethinking to do. We're nearly there. Okay, so I've created another couple of water wheels so we can speed this whole thing up. So that should blast out a bit further. The other thing I've done is I've separated this belt from that one, and we're going to give this one its own power source. Just like that. I probably could have used a small water wheel instead of a big one, but that's okay. It's going to do the trick. As you can see, that belt is now moving really slowly. You can see that has now come out and is getting very slowly blasted. Hopefully that will turn into proper copper by the time it reaches that funnel. Yeah, there it goes. There's our copper ingots. Excellent. So this was only going to be a temporary setup, but I've decided I actually want to keep it. And you know what that means. And there we are. I've made sure that the chests are all still accessible. You can see all three of them there. And, well, that's pretty much done.
It's a bit of a shame that we've hidden away all the movement, so I might come back and try and add a bit of animation to the building in the future, but for now I'm pretty pleased with what we've got.
But anyway, the reason we went down this entire rabbit hole was because I ran out of iron. And now I haven't run out of iron anymore. The reason I want that iron is I want to make another item vault so we can take stuff out of that one. You can see through the windows there. That's going to be full of cobblestone. We want to take that into a separate vault, which is going to be the input vault for our gravel farm, and then we're going to wash that gravel to turn it into more iron. To make our vault, we need barrels and iron sheets. So I'm going to build the gravel iron farm thing over on this side of the building. And I'm going to start off with a vault. I'm going to put it in the same height as that one over there. I'm going to put some chutes on the bottom of this to take the cobblestone out. They are going to feed directly into our millstones. Underneath those, I'm going to put some andesite funnels. I just need to dig down to do that.
We're going to put some belts underneath here coming out from both sides, so let's get the shafts in for those. So we're going to have 5 belts coming out on this side and 5 belts coming out on this side, and that is where the gravel is going to be washed. To wash the gravel we need to put some fans in, and then they're going to have water in front.
I've made it water sources all the way across just because flowing water sometimes causes a little bit of lag, and the less lag we have the better.
For the item collection, I'm going to put a vault all the way along this side, and I'm going to bring it out an extra block, and we're going to put a conveyor belt that goes in all the way from the other side over to here, so that all the items come into the one place.
And the other belt we need to put in is of course the one that's actually going to take the cobble into the farm in the first place.
With all the components in place and the weather not being very helpful,
it's time to power this thing up. So we're going to need some cogs to power these millstones.
We also need to power these fans, and I was hoping to be able to do that by putting a shaft into the back of them through these funnels here, but it doesn't look like we can, so we might need to do a bit of rethinking. So after a bit of jiggery pokery, we've managed to get it working. Well, kind of working. We've got another problem now, and that's the same problem we had before actually over with the lava. where when we get the farm going, we get the cobble coming in, it goes through the chutes, but it goes so quickly along the belts that it doesn't have time to get washed. So we're going to have to slow these belts down in order to make sure the gravel gets washed into flint and iron nuggets. So the two things I want moving quickly are this belt, which powers the fans, and this shaft here, which powers the millstones. So I just need to connect those up together and to that large cog over there, and then we can control the speed of that. And then what I'm going to do is just use the slow rotation of the water wheels themselves that comes out of that end of the speed controller, and we'll link that up to the belts. So this should be fairly straightforward. So a fair bit later, and we've got it working now. We've had to slow the speed all the way down to 32 because any stronger than that and the fans would actually blow the cobblestone along. Instead of washing it, it would just get blown along to the end of the belt. So we had to slow it down to 32 just to actually make sure it's got time to be washed on these belts. In case you're wondering, the noise you can hear is the cobblestone generator working away in the background. So this is all working on this side, I just haven't set it up on the other side, so we need to do that now. And now we're all done on this side too. Because of the angles, we couldn't use chutes the same way we did on the other side, so I've used belts instead. And as you can see, that's going into these barrels, and then all the way down, and being crushed in exactly the same way and washed. Overall, it might not be the prettiest of things, but it's certainly working, and as you can see, it's churning out the iron nuggets and the flint on both sides. And it's all coming around into our storage vault at the end here. Let's see how much we've got. Quite a bit, and there's some other bits and pieces that we need to take out from the construction process too. Now, if you remember, we're doing all of this to try and automate our train track production. So we've got our iron nuggets, but we're also going to need some stone slabs, and it won't accept cobblestone, it has to be stone. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to turn some of our cobblestone into stone blocks and then automate the turning of them into slabs. And looking at these barrels, I reckon we can use them for another purpose. So obviously some of that cobble is going straight down to be turned into gravel and then washed. But we can also put some funnels on here and we can blast that cobblestone to turn it into stone. So I think we should have a go at that. Okay, so we're done, and I absolutely love the noises this thing makes. What's going on is the cobblestone is coming out of the barrels and along this upper conveyor belt. Then when it hits the lower one, it gets blasted by the lava. And there's just enough time for that to happen, turning it into stone before it goes through the funnels into these two additional vaults. From there, the stone comes out of these funnels on the sides, and that gets taken along here. And if I just go around the other side and show you, we've got exactly the same thing happening on the other side as well. The stone goes to this mechanical saw that turns it into slabs. And then we've got our two deployers deploying the iron nuggets onto those slabs to turn it into rail. This vault on top of those deployers is where they get those nuggets from, and they are of course fed from the main bit. We've got a brass funnel here with a filter on just to take the nuggets out, and the belts that carry those nuggets are overhead, as you can see, going all the way into our item vault. We definitely need to decorate this thing because it is ugly, and of course we need to actually place all the rail that we're making so that we can actually get our train moving. But we are already 20 minutes into the video, so I feel it's kind of time to stop. So maybe the next video is the one where we actually get our train to come all the way along here and back again. We can hope, right? It's quite a process, isn't it? I'll see you next time. Bye.